Before you start extract or replicate process, the manager process must be up and running. For this reason, we start the manager process at this stage. First, you have to create a parameter file for the manager process. Edit param command is the easiest way to create the parameter file. When you execute this command, it will create the file if it isn't already there, and open it with the default operating system editor. You just then add the parameters in that file. If the process is already running, you must stop it first before you make changes in its parameter file. If you want to view the parameters without making changes on the parameter file, you can use the command view params followed by the process group name. After that, you save the file and close it, and then you start the manager process. To start it, you just issue the command start mgr. This command will kick off the manager process, and the configuration settings of the process will be taken from the parameter file. To verify the manager process status, use the command info mgr. This command should tell you whether the manager process is up and running or it is shut down. To stop the manager process, you use the command stop mgr as shown in the slide. The optional exclamation mark stops the process without asking the user for confirmation. To start the manager process from the operating system command line, use the mgr command followed by the file name of the parameter file as shown in the slide. On Windows, you can also start and stop the manager through the standard Windows services. You can still use the start mgr command in Windows. If you have a Windows cluster, you should stop the manager from the cluster administrator. This table lists common parameters that you could include in the manager process parameter file. Port parameter is used to set the port number that will be used by the manager process to interact with remote processes. Its default value is 7809, and it is recommended to set it to this value. Purge old extracts parameter is used to purge trail files when Oracle Golden Gate has finished processing them. Without using this parameter, no purging is performed, and the trail files continue consuming the disk space. You can add some keywords with the purge old extracts parameter. Those keywords called rules, and they control how the purging should be performed. Use checkpoints are one of those rules, and when it is used, only checkpointed transactions are purged. If any transaction is not checkpointed, it will stay in its location untouched. Use the min keep rule to set a minimum amount of time to keep the trail files. Use the min keep hours or min keep days to keep the data for n number of hours or days. Use the min keep files to keep at least n trail files including the active file. The default number of files to keep is 1. Use only one of the min keep options. If you configure the auto start parameter, the manager will automatically start the extract and replicate processes when the manager starts up. If you configure the auto start parameter, the manager will automatically try restarting the process after it fails. Let's study a sample of the manager parameter file. The first line in the file is a comment sentence. As you see, comments can be put into the parameter file using the double hyphen symbols. The manager process, which is configured by this file, is using port number 7809 to communicate with the remote processes. Needless to say that the firewall in your network should allow the connection through this port. Some other local Golden Gate processes needs a network port to get communicated with, like collector process or the replicate process. This parameter is telling those processes to grab from either port number 8001, 8002, or any port in the range from 9500 to 9502. Those are the ports that you are allowing for those processes. The manager process which is using this parameter file will purge any trail files in the dir that is not needed by any other Golden Gate process. It uses the checkpoint information to make sure that no process needs those files. Also, the manager will not purge those files until they stay for at least 5 days in the system. The auto start parameter makes the manager to automatically start the extract and replicate processes when it starts up. E in the parameter value stands for extract and R stands for replicate. The asterisk indicates that all the extract and replicate processes should be started. The auto start parameter is telling the manager process to automatically start up any extract process if it fails. It will keep trying to start the process up for 5 times and wait for 2 minutes after each attempt. You will learn later in this course some more parameters that you can configure in the manager parameter file. Source definitions file is a file that describes the definitions of the source tables or files. It will be read by the replicate during its normal operation. You use the diffgen utility to generate the source definitions file. I will show you in the next slide how to use this utility. Use the parameter source diffs in the parameter file of the replicate process to tell the process about the location of the source definitions file that it needs for its normal operation. Oracle Golden Gate version 12.2 uses a new type of trail files called self-describing trail files. With this type of trail files, the metadata of the source database and the replicated table structures are all saved in the trail files themselves. Therefore, you don't need to have the source files in the target database, because the replicate can know the source definitions from the trail files. With Oracle Golden Gate Release 12.2, self-describing trail files are the default trail files, and if you are using it, you shouldn't follow the procedure to generate the source definitions file. As I said earlier, you need to use the diffgen utility to generate the source definitions file. The format to use the utility is simple, and it is shown in the slide. You must pass the parameter file to the utility. The parameter file has the information the utility needs to connect to the database and obtain the definition information from it. You then move the generated file to the target system. I should mention again here that this is not applicable if you are using self-describing trail files. So that's it for this lecture. You should have learned how to configure Oracle Golden Gate Roadmap, implement the procedure to prepare an environment for Oracle Golden Gate, understand the supplemental logging options, create manager process, and finally understand when and how to use the source definitions file. The next lecture is a practice lecture. You're gonna practically implement the points that you have learned in this lecture. Till seeing you over there, thank you very much.